module 4 of IO interfacing. Now, LED indicators. We want to discuss about various type of output devices. So, first one, the most basic one is a single LED. Single LED is you have seen that we have used it for various purposes, and what all a single LED can be used for. It can be simply used to display whether it is on or off, any system is ready or busy, or if there is an error, that also is used to indicate by glowing an LED that there is an error, and the LED may not glow if the condition is okay. So these are the various uses or application of LED. And LED, you know that when a current passes through a light emitting diode, it emits a light. So this circuit you would have seen before also. So if it is being used for a active low output, your plus V, if for active low output the circuit will be like this, the current will flow from plus VCC to the resistor through the diode to this active low port. So this will make the current flow from top to bottom, and when current is flowing, the LED will glow. And if the same thing is need to be used for a active high logic, then what happens, the this side of resistor will be grounded, so current will be flowing in the other direction, and the connection will be in the diode will be flipped in that case, because diode current flowing from positive to negative only makes the LED glow. So in that case, what will happen? The output, active high output will go to P side of the diode and resistor and ground. So this is how the connection of LED happens in any circuit for using it as an indicator. And you know this equation of the current, where it is the current is equal to plus V is this plus VCC only, minus the voltage drop across the diode, minus the output side voltage, what it is. So divided by the resistor. So the one small question is also given in your book, where you need to determine the amount of the resistor required for the LED to glow. So there will be a minimum current with which LED glows. And of course, if you increase that current from some range to some range, the brightness of LED changes. So this is all about a single LED. Now you have seen also that series of LEDs are used. So this is about 7-segment LED display. 7-segment LED display, you need to see this connection very carefully, because you need to write a program also on this. So I would like all of you to see this connection. In the previous chapters, we have seen that there are common anode and common cathode LEDs. What you are seeing here is also a common anode one. Common anode means anode will be joined together, and the current flow will be made in such a way that all anode together will be passed on with uh, the LED will be passed on with the plus VCC at common anode, and that is how the current flows. So here we are taking example of common anode only. How things happen, how a actual LED display happens, we will see along with the program. So you need to understand this specific diagram carefully, because we will be writing a program on this also. So what you can see, this is a 4 7-segment LEDs which is connected together, and which will be giving you a display of certain digits. So it also has a dot. So if you are using it for displaying a floating point number also, it is capable of doing that. So what you can see in this diagram, this is 7-segment display, again 7-segment display. and each one is connected commonly through this A bar to DP bar. So you know that um, DP is the point, the point, this point for which it is. So A bar to G bar is your seven segment. This is the eighth part which is used for the decimal point. And A3 bar to A naught bar is something which is used to activate that LED. So as you can see that all these seven segments are connected to each other. So you can see that um, if I write suppose 5 on this, and if all these are made active low, all these LEDs will be activated through this transistor. So because we are using a same common eight inputs of this, which specific digit you need to display is activated or enabled from A naught to A3 bar by making it low, by when it is pulled low. So when this is pulled low, when your output of this is pulled low, that specific digit is activated, and whatever input you give here, that digit only will be displaying this. So now you have to understand that why this is required, why we wanted to do all this. We wanted to do all this so that we can work with this with minimum number of connections and minimum number of wires, and this joining and all that will be minimized with this. So you can understand that if I had four digits with this specific scheme, I need only 12 signals. What 12 signal? This 8 and this 4. This 12 signals only I am able to work. Otherwise, what would have happened? Only for digit itself, I would have required 32 signals, because 8 for each one. So 32 connections I would have required only for the digit. So in that case, this was not required, right? So now I am able to work with 12. Otherwise, I would have to work with 32 signals. So I am able to manage with this. Now you must be thinking that if I am connecting like this, how all the four digits will not be used at a single stretch. No, it's not that. All the four digit will be used at a single stretch only. We have a scan mechanism. A scanned scheme is there, where one by one each one will be made low, and the digit will be displaced with this, and it will be done in a scan basis one by one after each other, and it will be so fast that human being persistence of vision will be used, and we will be able to see all the four digits glowing with the different values on it. So this is called as scan type display system, in which there this is controlled by an embedded processor, which will be taking care of the clock frequency, the total clock frequency where it is working with, divided by the clock frequency which is required for us to make it display. So that is how it is used. So now you will be able to understand. I hope you have understood. These are the control signal to activate digits. This is whatever you give, it goes to all, but it will be displayed only in that specific digit where which control is made low. By pulling it, when you are pulling it low, that specific transistor enables the digit. Now let us see the uh, program. Now whatever I explained there should be able, you should be able to see it here. So four BDC inputs, because I am showing you four digit display only. Have a look at this program, you will understand. see all the entity. Are you able to relate with the input? So what you can see, you have 3 is to 0 anode N. So that means what? You have your output register of 4 bits for your anode connection, right? Next, 7 segment of this 7 is to 0 means you have 8, because you have 8 inputs, that is 7 segment and 1 decimal point. And what is this 3 is to 0? This is which one is activated, that input and your clock and reset. Now you see the clock frequency given is 10 megahertz. 10 megahertz is given, no? So clock frequency is 10 megahertz. Scan clock frequency required is 200, 50 hertz scan cycle. So every 50 hertz the digit will go to the next digit. So scan clock frequency is 200 and clock divisor is this divided by this. So this is the value with which it has to go from one digit to next digit. So now to start working with it, you have a scan clock, your digit select. This digit select is again 0 is to 1. It is going for two digits. Why? Because you have in total 4 enabling A0 to A3. So you require something which can take care of this 4. So 4 we can take care by using 2 digit only, right? So that is why it is 1 is to 0 is digit select used for that. BCD again, you require BCD requires 4 places, 0 to 9. So you have register 3 is to 0 and register 7 is to 0 for your display. Your 7 segment display with decimal point makes it 8. So now integer count is there. Now you see what is happening here. Here already we have made our parameter of clock divisor. Now you see how things are happening. Dividing the master of clock to get scan clock. So at pause as if reset, of course nothing is happening. Count is still 0 and nothing is happening. And if count is clock divisor minus 1, what it should do? It should see to it that it has reached the final thing. It has reached the final thing. So scan clock bit becomes 1. And so this is when nothing is there, means your it is reset button. This is the final count when it has reached clock divisor minus 1. And this is when actual thing is happening, scanning is happening. And if it is not reached the final one, it will go and it will increase the count and make the scan clock as 0. So this is taking care of the scan clock part. Next, here you see how the digit counter, how the next part is working. So if digit select is 0, reset of course. Otherwise, if scan clock is high, your digi select becomes next one. Digit select means what? See here, we have taken digi select as 0 to 1. So next, A0, A1, A2, A3. Like that, it will go next if your scan clock is high. What is scan clock? Whether it will be high or not, it is shown here. So if scan clock is high, digit select will be increasing. So the scanning is happening. And this is all simple, you people have seen before for various digit select. So if it is 0 0, your BCD 0 is selected, that is LSB. 0 1, when your digi select is 0 1, your next BCD is selected. 1 0, that is 2, next one 3, next one. This is about selecting your digit using digit selector. Next, what you have, your digit select again. At each time, your transistor should be activated because it is an active low signal. You saw in this, I will show you this again. When you want to make this activated a not 0 bar, this input should become 0. Same way, A1 bar, A2 bar, A3 bar, this should be good. This is your anode input. So this is what is shown here. So if your digi select is 0 0, your LSB is made 0, rest high. So only the last BCD output will be activated. Same way 0 1, this is activated, 1 0, this is activated, and so on. So this is taking care of different part. This you have seen all the time, all these time you have written this program. Case of BCD, when all this is there, 9 means it will display 9, and it is also displaying a dash. So all that is taken care. Here what they are trying to show is they are not using that dot one. They are not using that dot decimal point. So this is how it goes. And see, decimal point is only active for digit 3, only for digit 3, because decimal is available for all the LCDs, but it is not used for all the LCD. So for digit 3 only it is used. So here what they have shown is the general one for all other digits. So this is your program. You should see different part. Now in your exam, it may be asked that how do you divide the clock. So only that part you will have to write. Maybe this big program may not be asked. Okay. Now this was all about your LED, single LED as well as a series of LED and and the program related to that. So you should know the circuit as well as the program. Now coming to next type of output device, that is LCD. You all know that LCD and LED both are being used. What are the advantages of LCD? It consumes low power and it is readable in a bright light also. That is important. It is readable in bright light also. You would have seen certain phone display. If it is LCD display, it is even in light it will be able to display. And it comes in various shapes because a liquid is there which helps us to display the thing. So that is why it is it comes in various segment shapes. Now what is the disadvantage? It requires a backlight for dark condition. Of course in light condition it is readable, but in dark condition it requires a backlight, and it is not as strong and robust as LED. LCD panels you would have you seen all around. It can be rectangular array of pixels, and it can use for this is one of the advantage only. Alphanumeric character as well as graphical display is easier in to display in LCD, and it can be controlled by a small microcontroller. Of course, controlling is required for your LEDs also. So this is about your LCD. Now coming on to the mechanical type of output. You all know that when I talk about output devices, you need to also understand about the you should also understand about the various electrical to physical change. Electrical to physical change. Now electrical to physical change means uh, when you need to control the movement. Now movement can be what way? Movement can be various methods. For example, if you want to on and off a valve. Now why you need to on and off a valve? You all know that in fluid machinery, you need to control the flow of fluid, flow of liquid. So when you are controlling flow of liquid, you need to open and close any valve. So opening and closing any valve means physically you should create that change of opening and shutting any flow. So that requires how it is used, you have to understand now. See, in your um, as I already had told, actuator means actual movement, actual signal. So now you can see, you all know what is solenoid. Solenoid is a electromagnet in which if current moves in this coil, this behaves as a magnet. And if this behaves as a magnet, it will be attracting or repelling. Of course, if it is based upon the direction, pole north and south, it will be. But if you talk about iron, it will surely attract. Another magnet, north and south pole differs, but if it is an iron, it will simply attract it. So what you can see here is, this is a solenoid, this coil is there. If current moves in this will behave as a magnet. And now you can see here a spring is there, which eases its motion. So now you imagine that this valve is closing a valve, this part. And if you want to open the valve, and this is an iron, if you want to open the valve, you should start flowing the current in this. If current is not flowing, this valve will be in this position. But if current starts flowing, this will be attracted and this will go to this side, pushing this spring. When this magnetic force will be opposing this spring, and this spring will be attracted towards this side, so what will happen? It will open this valve. So this is how solenoid can use to open or close a valve. And valve means it can work for all the control of fluid or gas valve. So a solenoid valve is a very common thing used in industry. So you can see it will remain closed, but if you want to open this valve, you need to pass current through it. It will open the valve for the specified interval of time. So all the industries, this is done using solenoid, and it is a very foolproof method. Why? Because this closing and opening is nicely controlled. Now, when you saw that a small linear motion is created with this electromagnet, this solenoid, if you attach a rod or lever to this, so you imagine if I am attaching one rod to it in a horizontal or in a vertical direction, I can translate this movement. This can be further used for other physical control of anything. So that is why it is called as actuator, because it is actually producing the physical commands. That is why it is called as actuator. Now, so solenoid is used for opening and closing of a valve, and also this can be used to translate the movement to other type of actuators. Now coming on to relay, how a relay is made. Relay is made with this circuit. All of you please see this circuit. In this circuit, what happens? Um, Different, separately one connection will be given, and this, you can see that here, this side, what you can see, a separate connection is given, and the armature is attached to a set of electrical contacts, and this allows us to open or close an external circuit under digital control. So what you can see that this external circuit can operate with voltage and currents that exceed those of digital domain. So because it is external, it will only be used to activate or deactivate this relay. So the amount of current in this, it is shown like this. See, what I'm trying to show is, here in this current will be flowing, and because of this a current will be induced in this, and this induced current will make this circuit work. So this, the current which flows in this part can be higher than what we require in the digital world. In digital world, you know that we work at a lower range of voltages. So the current, whatever you are inducing in this, only need to be controlled. This current can be higher than this digital world. So this current, whatever we are inducing in this, makes the this output driver flow. So if the current is here, then the path is established. Now, why this diode is connected? This diode is connected only for the safety purpose. Why? Because when the sudden changes happen in the this inductor, you know, no, inductor is not that controllable thing. So if inductor heavy current flows, and if that heavy current flows through the transistor, it may spoil the transistor. So that is why extra current, whatever, it bypasses, and it will take care of the surge of current which may happen in such cases. So that is why this diode is a protective thing only. Otherwise, this is used for output driver circuit only. So this is about your actuator and valves. Now motors, again, you all know that when I talk about output devices may also mean that you are driving some motor. Output device means I have controlled the circuit and I need to produce the motion. So this producing of the motion or this transducer may also relate to converting your electrical signal to a rotational motor signal. So you all know working of this type of motor. You have used it in various different labs also. So it this angular position and control of speed and all is provided, and it is used in gears, screws, and also it can use to convert to linear position. So how it works, again I will revise, because anyway you know this is a natural magnet what is there in between, and this is your electromagnet. So if a current flows in this, it will behave as a it is behaving as a north pole, and a south pole of the permanent magnet is attracted towards this. After a while the current will stop flowing in this, it will not behave as magnet, but current will start flowing in this, and this will start behaving as a north pole. So this, there is no attraction here, but there is an attraction here, so it moves towards right. Same way, series of energizing of all this, it will uh, make it, see, for from here to here it moved, again this will be disconnected, this will be connected, so this will move here, so it will produce a rotational motion. So if I am energizing the electromagnet in clockwise direction, the movement will also happen in clockwise direction. If I energize the magnet in anti-clockwise direction, the movement will happen in anti-clockwise direction. Also, if I am energizing and disconnecting at certain speed, I can control the speed of the motor also. So this is about your stepper motor, where the movement happens in step. But in more practical world, we may not have only four connections here. We may have a extra four, which will give you a smooth stepper motor. So this is how it is used in industry. You also have a servo motor, which is a DC motor, and which the speed is controlled by varying the drive voltage. Here, what did you see? The speed can be varied with respect to how fast you are energizing and making it move. But in servo motor, the speed is controlled by varying the drive voltage, and we need to use a feedback to control the speed and to make it drive to a desired position. So that is a different type of motor, and it also, because it is comparing its current position and it compares the speed, so that is why it requires a position sensor, so that it can see at what position your motor is, and it can match with the position as required for the application. And it also has a tachometer which checks its speed. So if you want to reduce the speed, again it will be controlled by an embedded processor, where it will tell that okay, the speed is more. If you want to make it less, the drive voltage, speed is controlled by drive voltage. So this drive voltage is made lower, so that the speed becomes less, and it will keep on comparing with the tachometer reading. And also it will also have this position sensor to know where it is lying, what is the position of the current position of the motor. So the servo controller will also compensate for any non-ideal mechanical effect. So this is more strong, but of course we have a different application for stepper motors and servo motor in the application in industry. Okay, now we have talked about various type of LED, LCD, motor, solenoid, valve, actuators, all that we have talked. Now we should know how to convert a digital to analog converter, because you know that embedded processor will give out signal in digital form, but all your actuators, solenoid, anything requires the values in the analog form. So that is why you need to convert your embedded processor's digital signal to analog signal, so that it can actually control um, your transducers, which are converting the analog electrical signal to the physical signal. So there are two types of DAC again discussed here. The circuit what is there in front of you is R string DAC. R string DAC. So what you can see, a string of resistor is connected here. So you can see how many how many resistor are there. 8 resistor are there. Why 8 resistor are there? Because I need to convert it from 000 to 111. So I have 8 levels from 000 to 111. Now you all try to understand, if I make A0, A1 and A2, all the three, if I make 111, what will happen? Just to see, I'm explaining you in a opposite way. So if I make A0 as 1, what will happen? This switch will close. A1 as 1, this switch will close. A2 as 1, this switch will close. Now you see which switch will not close. This switch will not close. This line is not connected. Again, this switch is not closed. This line is not connected. Again, this switch is not closed. So which switch is closed? This switch. This series of switches closed. So when this series of switches closed means, what is coming at the output is this connection. This connection is coming, and this connection coming means what? How many resistors are coming down to it? There are 7 resistors coming down to it. So what will be the voltage level? Voltage level will be the voltage drop across this 7 resistor will be seen at the output. So this is corresponding to 111. Now you imagine that it is 101. 101 means what will happen? This is closed, this is closed, and because it is 0, this becomes 1 with this not gate, and this is closed. So now you see what is happening. Your this switch is closed, right? Your this switch is closed, and this switch is closed, and this switch is closed. So now what you can see, this connection, you see where it is going. This is closed, this is closed, and when you come here, when you come this side, the connection is not given. When this part is closed, when this is not closed, this connection does not get established. This connection does not get established. When this one is closed, all these switches are closed. Can you see the connection? When A0 is 1, all these switches gets closed. But when A1 was 0, this switch got closed. So where the connection establishes, this connection get established, 101. And now down to this, how many resistors are there? You can see 5 resistors are there. So this is how this circuit is taken care. Now imagine if it is 000. 000 means what? All this series switches will be closed. This side, this, this. Where will be the final connection? final connection will be here. This 0, this 0, this 0. So it will be 0 voltage. So this is how this R string DAC works. And as many levels you want, that many resistors may be connected. So from 0 to 7 resistor, the voltage drop across 7 resistor will be more, voltage drop across 5 resistor will be less, and correspondingly that output voltage is the analog voltage which will be used for the further connections. So this is your R string DAC. I hope it is clear to you. Okay, next is your digital to analog converter of R to R ladder. Now again, this is very simple. You can see the connection, how it is. Now again, this is showing you for 4 bits. 4 bits. So what you can see, if you imagine, if all of it is 1, 1, 1, then what happens? 1 means it will be connected to the upper connection. Upper connection. 0 means it will be connected to the down connection. So imagine if all are 1, 1, 1, what is happening? For all this 2R, you get the current from VF, right? So the voltage drop across the complete R to R ladder is coming into picture, and that is what you will be getting at the output. Of course, with a inverted signal you will be getting. Now imagine that if it is maybe imagine 1001. 1001 means this 2R is there in the circuit. This 2R is there in the circuit. But here if it is 0, there is no voltage here. So no voltage in this second 2R. No voltage in this second 2R means this is an open circuit. This 2R becomes open circuit. This 2R also becomes open circuit. I told 1001. So 1 is here. So what is happening? What all is there in the circuit? You have this 2R. This all is with respect to ground. But voltage you are getting only at first row and the last row. So you can see the voltage drop, the voltage not drop, the voltage across these two resistors you are not getting. So this is how the level of the voltage changes. So you can understand, if it is all 111, you will get more voltage here and you will get a higher voltage here. If it is based upon lesser values, you will get a lesser voltage here because connection is connected to ground in that case, and then you get a lesser voltage at the output. So this is how R to R ladder is used. So this is all output devices and your DAC, 2 types of DAC. Next topic is about IO controller. IO controller, and then simple IO controller will be done. Then you have a keypad controller, control status register, all that is there. Okay. So now IO controller, you know that when you have all the output devices, you are supposed to control it also. So the input output is controlled using the IO controller. So